Hello and welcome from Austin, Texas. On today's hot sheet, I am discussing the Fannie Mae House Price Sentiment Index. It is wild. You're going to get a lot out of this for your clients. And I'm going to talk about what the Federal Reserve Bank president of Minneapolis says about the housing market. A lot of really good takes in this. I'm actually really excited to bring that piece to you today. Today is Wednesday, November 8th. I'm Jeremy Knight, and the hot sheet starts now. All right, welcome to the Hot Sheet, the industry's only live daily show on the internet, brought to you exclusively by BAM and our good friends over there. I'm filling in today for Byron Lazine. My name is Jeremy Knight in the Austin, Texas. I had the pleasure of having dinner with Byron the other night while he was here for Zillow, and we talked about a lot of really great things. So I'm excited about today's Hot Sheet. Look, the Hot Sheet is the only place where you're going to get a 24-hour look back of what's happening in the market. Where the heck are you tuning in from today, by the way? I want to hear from you. I've got a lot to cover, and I really want to get into some of this. So, the other night I'm sitting there talking with Byron, and I listened to his podcast last night that he put out with Tamir and Sharon. And there was something really interesting that was said on that podcast. And it was about what's going to happen over the next 6 months. And yesterday we had a really big thing about what was happening with Real and all the cool stuff that's coming out. And in there, they reiterated the same thing that was in the podcast yesterday. And it was basically over the next 6 months is going to be the hardest time for agents in the market. We've already seen 100,000 agents exit the market. Have you seen agents in your market bounce out? I want to hear from you in the comments. Oh, look, comments are on fire. Minneapolis, sunny Naples, Florida. Team Sims is here. Awesome. All right. Good morning from Charlotte. Jennifer Zoller team. What's up? I'm here. All right. Love it. Byron Lazine. This guy looks good. Man, Byron, so if you don't know where Byron is right now, Byron is on a plane headed to an undisclosed location to save an orphanage of puppies. So Byron's doing big things, not only in real estate, but in the world. So I'm exclusively and proudly filling in for him. But going back to what I was talking about, so in the market, we're going to see agents leaving the market. And I think it's really, really important that agents really come together. And, look, we have all this stuff that's happening with NAR. Byron's done a very good job of breaking this down. Well, if your brokerage is not already talking to you about what these changes mean and having these conversations, I think it's really, really important that you start those conversations now, because you're going to have them with your clients soon. But as agents, I think it's really, really important that we insulate ourselves and we do some things here, right? So what we need to be doing in this market, I'm sorry to go to diatribe, but it does relate to the hot sheet code Jeremy if you're going to be buying the BAMX membership. But creating a nice collaborative group of people around you is going to change industry. What are you doing on a daily basis to change? In yesterday's podcast, Byron was talking with Tamir and Sharon. He goes, at this time, a lot of people start doing, or agents go in 100 different directions trying to see what sticks and works. If it is the next 6 months, who are the people you're connecting with that are actually helping you go in the right direction, right? A lot of people reach out to me to help them with YouTube content, how to grow their channel. I was in the right place at the right time. Success leaves clues, as they say. Also, consistency builds business. So what are the consistent pieces you're going to put in the business? Is it going to be signing up for a BAMX membership and using the promo code Jeremy? I think that's something you should do. Look, I'm a big proponent of BAMX. I don't get paid to come on here and do this at all. And I actually pay for my BAMX membership. I actually buy BAMX memberships for the people I mentor as well. So I think it's really important that you surround yourself with a good community like this. Maybe you make a brokerage change somewhere that's going to support you and give you more of that information. So that's my thing there. Use the promo code Jeremy for the hot sheet. Let's get into the Fannie Mae. Any good questions going on in here before I go to that? Byron's laughing because Byron's laughing so much because he's holding so many puppies. I'm really happy how that podcast turned out. Yeah, I listened to the whole thing at a baseball game last night till 8:30. So good stuff. Gabe's just leaving Austin. Great show. Good to see you, Gabe. From Des Moines, Steve, we actually jumped on a call the other day. Good to see you, Steve. Man, I was happy to help you out with your YouTube channel. Okay. So the Fannie Mae home purchase sentiment, the HPSI in October just came out. And there's some information in here. If you're an agent, which you should be an agent watching this, I highly recommend you watch this show every day. And immediately when the show's done, do a live video or do a video or reel breaking down what Byron or whoever is talking about, because your clientele is going to need this information, right? There's so much information out there, but it's so much loud information. And the data I'm about to tell you here, drop a one if you want the data, first of all. If you want the data and you're going to use this data today and make a live video and talk about this data, look, there's so much information out there, but buyers and sellers don't know what to do. And this data I'm about to show you is going to tell you that. So it's our job as agents to take this data every day and break it down. I spent an hour and a half this morning at the gym listening over and over to the podcast that we're going to talk about later in the show. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to articulate some of these things to my clients. So how are you going to articulate things better to your clients? Here we go. 78% of, so they did a survey here for the HPSI for October, and 78% of respondents believe that the economy is on the wrong track. 78%. That is a majority of the people in the US in this survey said that they are on the wrong track, and 7% point increase from the previous month. Yeah, thank you. With inflation being the top reason for this belief. Now, we'll get to a little bit later as in the survey or in the video that what we're going to show here, or the audio for this, is that they were breaking down what's happening in the market and did we go too far raising rates. But for most home buyers, 85% of consumers indicated that it's a bad time to buy a home. What I'd love to know on this survey and how they broke this survey down is that potential buyers, because you can interview anybody and say, yeah, it's a bad time to buy without actually have the education. And that's why it's our job as agents to break down this information, because the reality is, I don't know if you saw, but a couple of days ago, rates dropped 0.6, 0.8%. And we'll talk about rates in a second. I immediately put out a video saying rates were at 7.98%. If you got a $500,000 home, your mortgage on this home is going to be $4,500. Today, if you locked in today, that's $500 less, or it was like $240 less if you locked in today. That's how important it is to pay attention to this market. And on top of that, my clients just got $10,000 off of as a price reduction, and they got another $10,000 in closing costs, which means that we actually bought the rate down even more, which means that they got even more. So are you having those conversations with your clients? So 85% of consumers indicated that is a bad time to buy a home, primarily due to the high home prices and mortgage rates. Yesterday, Byron said that if in order for us to get back to pre-pandemic levels, we'd have to increase incomes 62%. That's probably not going to happen. Or we would have to drop homes 38%. That's probably not going to happen. Or we'd have to drop interest rates 4.4%. If we got a little bit of all of those, that would definitely help. But correspondents that are responding to this, 85% think it is a bad time to buy. Here's the inverse of that. This is an increase of 84% over last month. Obviously, rates were at 8%. So, of course, they're going to, right? How many of you are telling people or paying attention to the rates and explaining that to people? I'm reading the comments here. Byron's on fire in the comments. But in contrast, only 37% believe it's a bad time to sell a home. So what are the conversations that you're having with your clients when it comes to this right here? Only 37% think it's a bad time to sell a home. And that's primarily because what? In most markets, there's not a lot of inventory. This is something that Byron talks about on the hot sheet. Tim Toole has come on and talked about on the hot sheet. I've talked about on the hot sheet. It's what I literally have a video going out in 20 minutes on my main YouTube channel talking about the trouble sellers are in. So if you're not talking about these things to your clients, you may be left behind. Okay. Overall, the HPSI increased 0.4% to 64.9% in October, and it is up 8.2% compared to its all-time low. So what conversations can you have with your clients around this? I want to hear from you in the comment section. What conversations are you putting out there right now? Okay. Respondents also are less optimistic about home price expectations and mortgage rates going into next year, with a decrease in percentage of those believe home prices will go up in the next 12 months. So people are thinking that home prices are going to go down. So that's why they're thinking about not buying right now. They're waiting to see rates come down, waiting to see prices come down. Remember, there's three things, right? You're waiting for incomes to go up, prices to come down, and interest rates to go down. So how do we educate our buyers on that? That's what the hot sheet's all about. So with a decrease in the percentage of those that believe Home prices will go up in the next 12 months, and an increase of those expecting mortgage rates to rise. So our consumers are still expecting rates to rise. Now, with all the new information coming out from the Fed saying that potentially we may not raise rates and potentially we may drop rates. So, in the audio we're going to play here in a second, there's a really, really good interview with, is it Kashari, the president of the Federal Reserve, and Bloomberg. And in this, they go back and forth on what consumers are thinking, and I found this really interesting because you can totally tell the Federal Reserve is looking at it from one way and the consumer is looking at it from a completely different way, and they're looking past each other. We'll show you this in a second. So here is the debate. There was a debate over whether the Federal Reserve actions contributed to breaking the U.S. housing market in the past 2 years. Remember, Fed fund rate was at zero for a long time. So interest rates were at 2-3%, which, I mean, if we would have not, if rates would have been around 3.5-4% during the pandemic, do you think, like in Austin, we got up to 670 as our median? We're back down to 540. That's a huge difference in our prices, and the reason why they got so high is people are expecting them to go up. Jeremy's YouTube channel, thank you for posting that. We love them too. Man, there's so much good stuff in here. 1,000 watt. What is everybody thinking so far in the comment section? This is a good opportunity to drop in what you are thinking. Beth, hi, how are you? Dustin, good to see you. Okay. So this debate centered around the idea that ultra low interest rates during the pandemic, coupled with changes in remote work, led to the overheated housing prices. The argument suggests that the Federal Reserve lost control of the inflation and rates increased, housing affordability deteriorated. I mean, what are you seeing in your market right now? Are you seeing affordability just deteriorated? Are you seeing buyers just like, I can't do this? Are you explaining to buyers what's happening in the market? Causing homeowners with 2 and 3% mortgage rates to be less motivated to move. It's interesting to me that we say people with 2 to 3% mortgage rates are less motivated to move, which they are. So who are you talking to when you're talking about these things? But if you think about it, people still are moving. I know here in the Austin area, we still have people moving, still people selling their homes and moving, but maybe less are selling and trying to figure out ways to maybe do a cash out refi, maybe do some things to get that as well. Neil Kashari, the president of Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, was asked about whether the housing market is broken in an interview with Jonathan Farrow. What's interesting about this, and what I took into this, a lot of what they were talking about this, and I'll let the play in a second, was about that we weren't building enough. And so the Federal Reserve is saying, well, we didn't build enough, yet now builders are strapped and not building. So we're causing that same problem, right? Like in the Austin area, we're seeing less new builds happen when we still need new builds, but builders take forever with all the red tape out there. What is it like in your market? If a developer buys a lot, are they building homes on it in the next 6 months? In Austin, it takes 3 to 4 years. There's a new development coming in Buda that's already been 5 years in development, and they still haven't even got to the plot map stage. What does it say? Sorry. Buyers here, definitely. I can't do this here. Even buyers who really need to move, so cautious. Yes. Zeller team over there, killing it over there in Wisconsin. And my market still have new construction under 250. Oh man, I would be promoting that all day, every day. Beth, are you promoting that all day, every day? But that would be better to get the rates under 7%. So the note is competitive with rent again. Well, I mean, this is a great opportunity because you can say, hey, look, builders are giving these incentives. Let's actually negotiate even more because this is the time of year, right? Me in my real estate channel, my YouTube channel, this week's all about sellers. Next week, I got a massive video coming out about new construction. Why is it out? Because in December, I sell a ton of new construction with all of the incentives out there. So are you creating content about new construction if you have that in your market? I have 2 listings coming up. I bought a new build one to builder incentives. Yeah. My builders don't give incentives. Okay. Well, can't do anything about that. I mean, you might find some good stuff in there to incentivize buyers. So, what's the creativity that you're going to get with that? Okay, Bobby, I want to play this real quick, and then I want to go into a breakdown of this. But before you hit play, one note. So I had Bloomberg out here last year, and in the vein of new construction, Bloomberg called me and they're like, "Hey, we see your YouTube channel. We want to come out and talk to you about the housing market." And this was actually late 2021, the end of 2021. And Bloomberg was like, "Hey, there's so much new construction. It's going to crash the market. It's going to crash the market." So I invited and it wasn't this reporter, but it was a different reporter from Bloomberg to come out to Austin. We drove around Austin and we went to every single builder that was available, and no one had inventory. And their concern was, well, inventory is going to pop halfway through the year. Now, had that inventory not really popped, and now 35% of inventory, look at your market. 35% of inventory in Austin is actually new construction. What about your market? Okay. 41% of the price drops in Austin are from new construction. But the problem we ran into, that would have been fine. I don't think new construction would have, personally, and this is what I told the reporter, is that I don't think new construction would crash the market based on the fact that we didn't have a lot of inventory. The inventory went up, obviously, with resale, but mortgage rates went through the roof, which really hampered buyers. Okay, Bobby, let's hear it.
Years we've had record low interest rates and the highest rates in several decades. Is this housing market broken?
Well, I think since the pandemic, we have structurally underbuilt the number of units that we need to meet our growing population. And that's the factor. And that's really about regulation at the local level that are creating barriers to more supply coming in. The rate environment will settle out over time, but structurally, we have to actually bring a lot more supply online to meet Americans' needs.
You say over time, but it could be like 20, 30 years. I think this is the issue here. The legacy of this FOMC could well be a generation of people locked out of the housing market.
Why do you say that?
There could be a generation of people with 2-3% mortgages that never sell their home.
Yeah, I don't know. People end up needing to move. It's funny, when people don't sell their home because they're locked into a low mortgage, that's less supply, but that's also one less buyer. Most people who buy homes are leaving another home. And so that affects both the supply side and the demand side.
Here's really how I said a generation locked out, because I'm renting and can't buy. So I'm not selling anything. Yeah. And that's the generation I'm talking about. That generation specifically. Are you concerned that could be the legacy of this FOMC?
No, I think the legacy of this FOMC is that we've dealt with the pandemic very aggressively. Then we were surprised by very high inflation, but then we moved very aggressively to bring the inflation back down.
I want to ask you about a story on the Bloomberg terminal today about all the financial CEOs from the U.S. over in Hong Kong sounding very dour and down about the prospects for the economy. They suggest that things are pretty fragile right now, both in the economy and the markets, given everything that's going on around the world and in the shadow banking system as well as theirs. How worried are you?
Well, I mean, we're always worried about things that can happen all around the world. We've got teams of people looking at different scenarios around the world. Ultimately, we have to focus on what we can control. Geopolitics, when Hamas attacked Israel, the first thing we thought of is what's it going to do to the oil market? What's it going to do to commodity prices? Remarkably, the response so far has been muted, but that's something we're obviously paying close attention to. But the broader geopolitical issues are just so far outside of our bounds of forecasting. We have a hard enough time forecasting inflation. Trying to forecast where geopolitics is going. We just have to focus on what we can control.
Oil prices dropped, Bramo.
Okay, so I want you to pay attention. So there was a lot that was said in there. The first half is really what I wanted to showcase the most, but geopolitics obviously plays a lot into the market. 100%, click on Byron's comment again. 100% regulation at local levels is broken for building. And this is what I was talking about with the Bloomberg writer when he came out to Austin was, look, it's so much red tape in order for a developer to get online in Austin that it takes years. So developers have to be very, very frugal when it comes to it. And then that cost gets passed on to the consumer. And so if you think about it, especially in the Austin area, it's hard to build an affordable home, whatever you're going to call affordable. It's hard to build an affordable home, especially for these builders. So local levels we as agents should be highlighting the fact that developers and getting involved locally when these votes come up, especially like in the Austin area for me, because this is stuff we should be showing our clients. Why are you spending so much money on more money on a home? Well, property taxes, this. These are all the reasons why you're spending more on a home. That's something I would share. But again, the comment section's killing it. So Jennifer says, I think 2 to 3% would sell at 5%, which will come back. The question is, when will it come back? And if you're looking at the people in the survey, earlier are saying it's going to be 2024, 2025. And as Byron's been saying to everyone on here, hey, we're already below the peak. At some point, we will be back above this peak. And this is a conversation I'm having with my clients. Are you having that with your clients? Yes, local level, our growth index predicts 4 new homes being built during a 5-year period. So a lot of good information. I mean, how are you articulating these questions to your clients? I'm curious, because are you doing live streams? Are you doing reels? Are you putting out blogs? I know Trey Serrano, who's going to be hosting next week. Byron and I had dinner with him the other night. He has sent out in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, hey, I sent out this email when rates dropped and I had 7 people already respond. So I took that same email, I cut it. And this is why it's important to surround yourself with really, really good people, whether it's here on BAMX, Tom Ferry, the brokerage you're at, wherever. Because I took that same thing, and guess what? I had 3 people in my database reach out like, hey, this is really good information. I'd love to schedule a talk. So these are all really good things. And over the next 6 months, I really encourage you, number one, use the promo code Jeremy, get a BAMX subscription so you can take this information every single day and create content around it. So there we go. Let's look at the 10-year Treasury. What else we got? Cover the local votes and discussions in your community. It is really important to be your local ambassador, right? What does Trey say? Trey says, don't be the local ambassador, be the concerned citizen. And I think, at our clients that are hearing all of this negative things, 85% of people think it's a bad time to buy. Well, if you have cash, it's probably not a bad time to buy at all. If you're in a position to buy, it probably might not be a bad idea for you. How are you going to articulate to your clients? What was the content you sent out in general? We follow Tom's suggestions. Man, I got to find, it was basically, Trey posted it in the Tom Ferry Elite. It was basically an email that said, to the fact that, man, I'll pull it up. Give me 2 seconds. I'll pull it up. Keep the comments coming as I pull this up. It's a really, really good email. We sent this out to our people, and I literally had 3 people reach out, and we set 1 buyer appointment from that. Email blast for this week. Keep the comments coming. Thanks, Jay. Gotcha. Thank you. Oh man. Let me find it. It was in the Tom Ferry group. I think it's still up there. Nobody took it down. Trey Serrano. That's my man. Oh, no, it's not it. Tom Ferry group. What's going on in the comments over there? Tom Ferry Elite Group. Trace, I think this is a really good email. If you haven't sent out this email, I'd recommend you send this out to your people immediately. Oh, Trey. All these shout outs from my boy Trey Serrano. Okay. Now I can't find it. Did they take it down? Anyway, I'll have to find it. I'll post it on Instagram. So if you follow my Instagram, Jeremy Dawson, or the real Jeremy Knight, I'll post it on there for you. But basically I said, hey, interest rates dropped this much. There's uncertainty in the market with this rate drop. It's helping you and your community. So reach out to us or something to that effect. I'll post it on my Instagram. It was a really, really good one. Jeremy is the best host ever. Thank you, Byron. So I would be taking emails like that. Maybe follow the Tom Ferry Elite group, or maybe follow the group, follow whatever people are doing, what Byron's doing, what they're doing here, and post that, because there's a ton of really good stuff. Okay, let's look at the 10-year Treasury real quick. Bobby, where are we at? I want to know where rates are going. You going to click on it for me, or I got to click on it? Rates. So 10-year Treasury is down a little bit today. I don't know if you saw rates dropped a little bit yesterday as well. So as of right now, there we go. 10-year is down a smidge. And when I say a smidge, it is down a smidge. And rates dropped slightly yesterday. What did they have? They dropped down to the 30-year at 7.46. So if we're watching this on a daily, that means potentially we'll see rates tick down a little bit tomorrow as well. What's interesting I was going through getting ready for the hot sheet, and I just Googled housing market because I wanted to see that 80%, right? That 80% of 85% of people, it says a bad time to buy. Well, here's the news they're getting. Literally, just go to Google after this and put in housing market. This is the least affordable housing market since 1984 CNN. The housing market's starting to crack Yahoo Finance. Cold market, real estate prices continuing to decline. Is this the information that we really need to put out to our clients? We absolutely need to be honest with our clients, but is this helpful, right? Because clients are going to read that and go, oh, I can't buy. Well, can you? Is it a good time to buy? It's all relative. All right. Thank you for joining the hot sheet, everybody. Make sure you use the promo code Jeremy is hot. Drop a comment below if you enjoyed this. Write a 1 or a 2 if you enjoyed this. If you want me to take over permanently for Byron, just write Byron in the comments. If you think Byron should come back immediately from his puppy saving trip, definitely write Byron in the comments. We'll see you on the next hot sheet. Next week, actually, Wednesday and Friday next week, I will be back.